Good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock on the dot from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In the NFL, the Cardinals getting back some big players on both sides of the ball as they activated Kyler Murray and Budda Baker from IR, starting their 21-day practice window. Kyler has been out since December when he tore his ACL. Budda has been sidelined since injuring himself in practice ahead of their Week 2 loss to the New York Giants. Thursday Night Football tonight, Saints and Jags. Trevor Lawrence, despite being limited through the week, is questionable to start that game. It starts at 7:15 on Prime, or you can hear it right here on The Zone. The Jets are trading wide receiver Mecole Hardman back to his original team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Hardman had just one catch in limited action with the Jets after signing a one-year, $4 million contract this past offseason. In college football news, the NCAA is investigating the Michigan Wolverines football program amid allegations of sign stealing. The Big Ten Conference announced today. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It is Blaine and Mickey today, and we got a special guest, the Hitman with another day off. So, the man who literally had a defensive package invented for him called Extra Backer, that Extra Backer joins us today, Keith Bullock. What's up, Extra Backer?
Yeah, man, I'm the extra broadcaster tonight. What am I? Am I a broadcaster or am I? That's what we are.
Whatever you want to call yourself. Journalist, broadcaster.
Journalist,
You're all those things.
Hey, I'm wearing a lot of host. There I go.
Yeah.
I'm the sit-in extra host today. I like this segment. You know, the 1 to 3 is like the free ride. You know,
Just cruise in, cruise out.
Blaine.
Yeah. Like a trip to Printer's Alley, man. We just do what we want to do.
I like that. I see where you're going with that.
Okay. Now, speaking of trips, I didn't even tell you this. You're like, hey, what are you going to talk about today? And I gave you a couple things, but Titans went to London. Some people were fortunate enough to get to go.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody made their videos, and they put their videos on the internet. You know which video I enjoyed the most?
Which one?
A video of Keith Bullock and Chris Johnson sightseeing their way through a beautiful London town. What in the world?
Yeah.
Dude, that was the most fun. I felt like I was on a trip with you guys. I got it pulled up now on Twitter. You're shooting all the sights and giving the play-by-play, you and CJ.
Yeah, man, it was cool. Chris and I both happened to be out there. My family came out. So, I've been to London several times, and we just linked up to get on the hop on, hop off bus ride. And, being from New York, I see those things all the time. And then, you see them when you go to different places. I never had done one. And I thought it was a great opportunity for the wife and kids to get out and for us to, see the whole city of London. They had the headphones where you can listen to the history and all that stuff. So that was cool for me. I like to see the different cities and hear the different histories of the world to kind of see how, they all tie into old American history. So that was fun. And seeing Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, the London Eye, going in different areas, St. Paul's Cathedral, learning things I definitely didn't know about the city of London and how it came about and who the first people were to, start London, how it started. So it was cool.
There have been several times where you've come in to do shows, or I've seen you just somewhere and we talk and you, what have you been up to? And you tell me, oh, I've been here, I've been there. You're a big traveler, right? What's your favorite place to go?
My favorite place to go, I would have to say most recently, this summer, I went to Portugal and Spain. I went to Lisbon, Madrid, and Barcelona. Barcelona.
Sure, right.
But I'm not.
If you're authentic.
Yeah, I'm not authentic.
It's all right. You can fake it till you make it. You're a broadcaster.
I just like to go, experiencing the different cultures. Because honestly, what really got me into it was probably my 5th or 6th year in the NFL. It's the off season, and you get time, and it's like there's only so much you can go to Miami,
right.
Las Vegas, you know what I'm saying? So I had other friends in other industries, and they kind of told me about this place, that place, and the other. So one of my best friends, I was like, dang, who can I get to go with me? And I knew my best friend, he didn't have a job at a time. And I was like, hey, man, we're going to Europe for like 10 days. So I took my best friend to Europe. We went to Amsterdam, had to stop in Amsterdam.
I've actually played music shows in Holland before.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah, that's nice.
Okay. Not going too deep into what happens
for sure.
For anybody in Holland. Do you remember how gigantic those people were?
Yeah.
Those are giants.
Yeah,
They're giants.
I've also been, that's funny you say that, I've also been to Denmark as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another place where big
More giants
are. Yeah, Germany, Berlin. We had a exchange player back in the day called, his name was Uli Winkler, and he was from Munich. And me, VY, Vince Young, and Tank Williams. I took them on their first Euro trip. So, that was off the chain.
Oh.
That was off the chain. But we ended up in Munich. And, yeah, they're tall people there. Real big humans there as well.
I've met two people older than 12 who were shorter than me, and they were both 12.
Yeah.
And I'm a grown A person, but just not that big of a person.
Right.
I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what they eat or what they do. I don't know.
Food, hey, I tell you what, man. I definitely did not like the food in Germany. But, you make it happen. We ate at actually Uli's house, so I had to be respectful. Yo, VY and Tank was killing this, whatever it was. I was like, hey, bro, this is not that good. Like, they was going in for seconds, and I'm trying to hide the rest of my food under some, it was crazy.
You cut it up and mix it together.
Yeah, I'm like 25 years old, acting like a 5-year-old trying to hide my food in these people's house, man. It was crazy.
Favorite thing you've ever eaten then in any place you've gone? What did you like?
Well, first of all, you can't beat Italy. Like, you can't beat Italy.
Been to Italy, yeah.
Rome, like, you can't. I just have to say that's the top because, I would say the most surprised I was when I went to Thailand because I had never had Thai food before, to my knowledge. And I just, I'm a kind of picky eater. I thought I was. And then when I got there, was really the first experience with Thai food. And this is about like 10 years ago. And it was great. I would say that's one of the best foods that eating experience is official Thai food. And of course, you can't go wrong with anything in Italy.
No, Italy's the best. Now, the only thing is don't be in a hurry because they're not.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely not.
They drive like their hair is on fire. If you go into Rome, if you stick one toe too far off the curb, someone will knock it off driving. But everywhere else, once you get outside of the big city, everywhere else I went, hey, man, you're going to take 2 hours for lunch. You're going to take 2 hours for dinner.
And London was pretty hectic, man, with the driving as well, because it's tight streets, they're smaller, and you're looking both ways, but you're going to look the wrong way the first time as an American, which is great that they have on the floor, on the ground in front of you, it tells you which way to look because you're going to go across the street and look left, and the car is coming from your right. It's curtains. It's not cool.
No, that's not cool. So all right, we're talking about travel. We opened it up, a little bit about your travel to London and other places you've been. What was a bye week? And we got this whole hour. You got questions for Bully. You want to call in 615-737-1045. Our only guest today, besides each other, is Chelsa Messinger. That'll be at 2:20. We can talk Titans a whole lot in this first hour and even in the second hour as well. But I think the public kind of wonders, like, you don't get a whole lot of vacation time in NFL season. What is a bye week like?
I think the bye week really is, for me, it was predicated on really the type of season. I feel like earlier, in my career, I might get back to New York and hang out with friends and family. The bye week that really sticks out the most to me was my last year here with the Titans. The year before we started off 10-0, 13-3, home field, lose to the Ravens. The next year we pretty much have the same team. We lost Albert. Jim Schwartz he got a head coaching job, and a couple pieces moved around, and we came out and we started off 0-6. Mm-hmm. And that last game that put us at 0-6 was that I don't even I don't still don't to this day understand how professional football teams lose 59-0, but that game
I
up
remember
in
that
New
game,
England.
yeah.
So, we took that one on the chin, and 0-6 going into the bye, it's like, oh my God, like nothing is going right. So, we still had like a young core team. We had Vince Young, Chris Johnson, second year, Lindell White, Nate Washington just got here. A young Steven Tulloch, Tony Brown. We had Kyle Vanden Bosch, Chris Hope, Cortland Fitz. So we still had we had the core from the team that just won the division the following year. So, me and a good handful of the guys, we went to South Beach. Sometimes you get your body healthy, whatever, but we went to South Beach, man. And Jeff will always be like, get away, do what you got to do, be careful, don't get in trouble,
Right.
Those type things. And we just got away from football, had a good time. I remember just being amongst, the guys that were there, Kenny Britt, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then we came back and we just kind of went on a run. VY, he was starter again. That's a year, 2K. CJ had his 2K year. Nate Washington started to settle in his role here with the team. Defensively, we would answer the bell, however, and I honestly, believe that if I didn't get hurt the night that the game that I got hurt against the Miami Dolphins here, we would have beat San Diego that Christmas night, because we just had, they had our number and we were just due, and we might have, made the playoffs. So that was a really special team because of, we ain't really have much going for us. Almost like this Titans team right now. They don't really know who they are. They don't, according, outside looking in, they look dead, but only they know what's up, and it's a bye week. So I think after that London trip, I take my hat off to the defense. Defense did a great job, because that thing could have got ugly, you know, sitting in the stands. It looked as if it was going to get ugly, especially the way the second half started. Derek had that nice run, and then Baltimore is able to turn I was glad the Titans were able to make it a game for the fans that took the trip, because, shout out to all the fans that were out there, because they definitely were partying and having a good time, and they were in it the whole time. Even when things were breaking down, I was sitting in the stands, so you could see everyone around. They were definitely there and fighting for their Titans. So it was good to see.
All right, we'll go into more of this year's Titans. We got all that coming up. Keith Bullock hanging out for Blaine today. Chelsa Messinger in hour number 2. Lots of Titans talk. Dennis from Nashville is on the phone. I think he might want to ask about a college football question. We can get into that as well and more. Big day. Keith Bullock, Blaine, and Mickey on Thursday. Let's talk about the good people at PAI, WeGrowHair.com. You've heard me talk about them now for years. You've heard other people on the station talk about them. So I'll ask you, if you're dealing with hair loss and you hear us talk about them all the time, you hear only great things, and you hear about people getting their own hair, going back on their own head, I would just ask, why have you not reached out to them yet? Why would you not reach out to them, right? I mean, if your car was out of gas, you wanted to go somewhere, you'd put gas in the car. If your tires were flat, you'd put air in the tires so you could get somewhere. You do things to make sure that things are going right. But when it comes to your hair, a lot of people just ignore it. They think maybe it'll stop, or they just give up. You don't have to do that. It's 2023, and actually they've been in business for over 26 years. So for 2.5 decades, people have been going to PAI to get the hair that they want growing back on their head. They can do it for you. Can't do it if you don't call. And here's what you need to know. If you do call, they'll even give you a free consultation. They'll give you a game plan just like a coach. Permanent, natural results from the company you can trust. PAI Medical Group, WeGrowHair.com. Don't wait. Call now. Get that free consultation. 615-376-6010. Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. Give it to us, baby. Rick James. Rick James had no problem being Rick James. Keith Bullock has no problem being Keith Bullock. We got K-Bull hanging out today throughout this entire 2-hour extravaganza.
I could have listened to this.
Time.
This could have been in my pregame, like my like pregame music. Little Rick James.
Blaine was easy listening. Do you know about this?
I didn't.
Easy listening.
Is he?
Easy listening.
Like, I could put this on, like, when I'm getting ready, like, when I'm getting my uniform on before I go, like, run the jog, you know.
Oh, 100% of the time. This works 100% of the time.
Just set the tone, you know. Go a little darker, a little more aggressive as I get closer.
As you go.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is
like
just,
the first course
yeah,
or
this
so.
is just getting to the stadium. You know, I'm going to the equipment room, getting the things that I need, you know, and then, yeah.
Getting the ace bandage from Hoss.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Oh, man. Extra pair of socks.
Getting my ankles taped.
Oh. You know, I never had my ankles taped. My school didn't have a trainer.
No.
Somebody asked us once, like, what was your trainer like? I said, we didn't have one. They said, once somebody got hurt, they said they just drag us over the side and leave us.
In high school, I got my ankles taped when I, like, sprained my ankle. Like, it was by necessity, like, in high school.
So somebody drug you over to the side and was like,
yeah, like,
let's
I
just
sprained
make it so
my
you
ankle,
can't bend
like, and then they just, like, taped it. Nancy Hawkins was our trainer. She was a bodybuilder. yeah.
Okay.
She was kind of jacked. She was cool.
What was high school like for you, high school football? I know we're veering off, but we don't get you that often.
Nah.
I ask you that because most of the guys I know who are good enough, let's say, to just play in college. Like I had a couple friends, they played at Arkansas Tech, and I knew one guy who played at Arkansas State for a couple of years. And that was a huge deal. You know, nobody from my school ever played like at a Power 5 school. But I could remember like that guy in school, and he was the quarterback and the kicker and the punter, and he was the safety or linebacker, depending on how big he was or wasn't. Right. And he never left he might try to lead the field, and the coach would yell at him, just go do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Was that what? And you were from the Northeast. Did you play on Saturdays?
We played on Saturday. We played on Saturdays. Kickoff was at like 1.
On Saturday?
Yeah, it was couldn't have night games back then in the 90s. Too much. And I lived like, 20 minutes, probably 25 minutes from New York City, but it was just they just weren't doing that back then. So
just because of some tomfoolery that
it was always a little extracurricular that can, one of those small town. But it's funny. As you were talking, for high school, yes, I never came off the field. I played on offense. I played running back, and on third down and long, I played wide receiver.
You just split out wide.
Or I went in motion, and then I ran whatever route I had to run.
Okay.
But 80% of the time it was coming to me, and then I played safety until they moved me like a little closer to the ball my senior year. But yeah, my high school was kind of like that Tom Cruise movie, All the Right Moves.
Oh, and pipe, yeah.
Just because, being from a smaller town, and my high school team was only good the 3 years that me and my boys were on there. It was like everyone was like, they only know what they saw. So it's like, oh yeah, you could play D2 or D3, but so everyone was saying I was a big fish in a small town, and then. But like my junior year, like every school, like Michigan, Nebraska, University of Virginia, Syracuse, like I had like all like the top schools coming through. So, it was like that until about my junior year, where I started to realize, okay, I'm really about to get up out of here.
Like Stephen Georgievic, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Caltech. You should have had riflemen fall on the ball. Everybody knows that. Yeah, I've only seen that one a few times. Keith Bullock hanging out with us. So you mentioned this. I asked you about a bye week, and what did you do? And did you get away, or did you stick around? And you were kind of explaining the rough start. So all the guys were like, let's just get away from this.
Yeah.
And you started talking about that team, and you said, we had some new guys, but then we had some core guys, and we try and figure out our identity. And then you sort of hinted at the current team. I can remember asking, maybe it was John Glennon or one of the Titans reporters. We were a couple of weeks into the season. And I said, what's the identity of this Titans offense? And I don't know if it was Glenn or who it was, he just laughed.
Wow.
I'll ask you, like, what do you think on either side of the ball? What's the identity of this team?
Well, defensively, I think, right now you can almost hear it in their conversations. I think they know their assignment is to go out there and, as simple as it sounds, obviously hold the opposing offense to as little as they can. That's the objective of defense. But they know their task is it's a taller task than normal. I feel like the defensive players are aware that their offense is still trying to get it together. You hear a lot on the station, should the offense run through Derrick Henry or should they move on? I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think, obviously, at this point, Tyjae Spears, you can tell every time he gets the ball, he's making something happen. When Derrick Henry got here, DeMarco Murray was older, still rushed for over 1,000 yards.
He led the AFC in rushing in his one main year here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, when I think about other dual back situations where when I played, I remember Deuce McAllister and Reggie Bush out of New Orleans.
Geez.
And then you go to Jacksonville when they had Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew.
You could go here.
You can go here when you had, Chris Johnson.
Smash and dash.
Right. So what I'm saying is, it's easy. The quarterback is the glory position, and it's also the position that it's easy to take a dump on when things aren't going well. You have to play well. But with that being said, there are still weapons. DeAndre Hopkins has shown that he's available and can make plays when the game plan calls for him to make those plays. I just feel that offensively, a lot of times, and I will say they've been doing things very creative to get Derrick Henry the ball in different ways. I would just like to see a little more balance within that offense. For example, Spears, he's a good pass catcher, right? Yep. So why can't you have them both in at the same time, motion him out, get him as a slot receiver? Because one of the things you hear talking about, the Titans don't have anyone that can get open in the slot. Okay, well, use your second-round draft pick, who is a dual threat player, to create that mismatch in the slot versus a linebacker. This is a copycat league. I saw it done to the Titans versus the Browns. I just think that, and obviously, it's easy for me to sit here and talk on the radio about it. Sometimes the game plan doesn't dictate that, especially when I think the Titans have like 40 plays against they didn't have many offensive snaps.
They average 55 snaps per game, Keith. That's dead last in the NFL.
Right, so it's really hard to get your game plan going when you're behind the 8 ball on second down. If it's second and 9, and then you have to convert longer third down. So a lot of it goes into it. That's what I'm saying. I'm just on the radio here talking, but these are real solutions. You know what I mean? And when I don't see it, especially sitting in the stands, and I'm like, where's 32? Where's 32? You can use 32 at this point in time because they're leaning every coverage to DeAndre Hopkins. Nobody else is really getting open. We know you're going to give it to Derrick. You bring 32 in and you give him a Derrick Henry type play. There's no package I see really for Spears, and it just kind of makes you wonder. So that was very long-winded about the identity.
That's fine.
But it's just hard to tell. And this NFL is a week-to-week league. Obviously, this year it is. And we'll just have to see what it looks like with a bye week. That's why a bye week's good. It gives the team to go back and self-scout and be like, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what players were stressed in this situation, what players succeeded in this situation. Now is the question, is Tannehill going to come back? If it's not Tannehill, is it Malik or is it Will Levis? For me, at this point, why not give Will Levis a shot? I've never even seen him play. One thing I do know from the clips that I have seen playing in the SEC, his decision whether to run, pass, or throw seemed to be quicker, and that's not fair because I've never seen him at the NFL level. But after watching Malik, it seems as if, he still has that hesitation that we saw, last year and when he was able to get in the game and a little bit in the preseason. It seemed as if this preseason, he was further along. And then just in the last game when he had to get in there, he still has that little bit of hesitation, which you would expect. But if you got a second-round draft pick, do you shell shock him? Because it's not like the weapons that he has are getting better. Of course, you can get Traylon Burks back and, maybe work more towards the quarterback strengths. But it doesn't really, when I say shell shock him, do you put him in there and, let him take his lumps behind this offensive line that isn't the strongest offensive line, which is why one of the reasons that Ryan Tannehill is out now.
Well, you mentioned the O-line, and what do? Ryan Tannehill, their reports from the Peloseros and Jeremy Fowlers and those type of guys, and they're saying, even Vrabel said, it looks more like the first time he got hurt than the second time, where there was surgery and he was just gone. It looks more like the 2-week variety. Well, 2 weeks is when the Falcons come to town. Let's say it's a little bit worse. You got to start somebody else. The Titans fans really seem to be split on this. Some people say, Malik has earned this chance, and others say they were going to literally trade up to draft Will Levis in the first round. He is a first-round grade in their mind. If you have a first-round quarterback, put him out there. It's go time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm in the middle, but I'm not a fan. I'm indifferent to it, So what do you, pick your poison. You can put Malik out there and let's see a full game plan, a full 2 weeks coming off of the bye because, look, Will Levis hasn't had any NFL starts or many NFL starts because essentially in the preseason you're playing, a sped-up version of collegiate football, So, is it fair to just throw him out there and have expectations of him for, people to be like, oh, he's this, he's that? I don't know if that's fair. I don't think it would be easy to get a real assessment unless he went out there and had success, So if he goes out there and has success, then everybody's happy. So, this is one of those situations where I'm glad I just get to sit back and talk about it and not have to really make the decision on what happens at the quarterback position.
I think one of the things, Blaine and I were talking about this last week, and I went and looked. The offense looks different this year. It does look different. It is the same number of yards. They're literally scoring 17.5 points a game, which is what they averaged last year, that everybody wanted to run Todd Downing out of town, chase him out of town, throwing rocks at him. They have the same points per game average. They're running 2 less plays per game, and they were 30th, I think, in plays run last year. I think they're now last in the NFL. 55 plays. I think it was 57 last year. It may look different. It's producing the exact same results. I think that's why some people are saying, how much worse could it be if you put Willis, or I almost say Will Levis. I combine them in one person. But how much worse could it be if you put one of those guys in?
Yeah, and that's why I don't disagree with that way of thinking. The only thing I worry about is you don't want to be in a situation similar to the Indianapolis Colts where you have your second-round draft pick Will Levis out for the year, like Anthony Richardson, the Colts' first-round draft pick out for the year because of an injury. So that's the only thing that I can really think of why you wouldn't do it. But I think that the Titans fans would probably see Will Levis this year at some point, especially if Ryan Tannehill can't get out there and, play.
So right now, nobody – I guess you could be in the building if you wanted to, right? If you're rehabbing something or if you just wanted to go be there. If they know, because we don't know, but they've seen all the happen in now a little over a week when they play the Falcons. They know Tannehill will be ready or he's not going to be ready. What are they doing right now in the building to try to get 2 guys ready, one who's played a little bit Willis or one who's played none Levis? Right now, when some guys may be on South Beach, what are they doing down there to try to get those 2 guys ready for one of them to play?
You know what? I honestly, that's definitely a Coach Mack question, but because, from the coach's standpoint, but I assume that they're going through their game plans, especially to see they're on to Atlanta, right? So it's week to week. My first thing would be like, okay, what was successful against Atlanta, and what can we implement in our game plan when we play them in 2 weeks for any of our quarterbacks to be successful? You know, Ryan is going to be hobbled if he's playing, so we know he's not going to be as mobile as he's normally is. We don't necessarily know what Will can do because we haven't put him out there in a real situation. And if he's able to handle the speed of the game, obviously going to take some adjustments. I just thought about Any Given Sunday when Jamie Foxx went out there the first play and how fast it was going. You know,
Steaming Willie Beeman.
Yeah, he could have a steaming Willie Beeman moment. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. And then once it slows down for him, it might be you don't know his learning curve. And I'm not here to say what it is. You know, I feel like that's why he was drafted, to give him an opportunity. But I think from a coach's standpoint, you know, they're trying to figure out what they've done well to this point, what their offensive line was able to do, maybe mixing in all the game plans. How do we get DeAndre the ball? How do we get Chigakonkwo going? What is there a package, and what is the package that we're implementing that involves Spears and Henry to make the defense think? Because at the end of the day, sitting watching in the stands in London, look, I'm calling out the offensive plays, you know, and I haven't played ball in I don't know how long, but that's, you know, they're not trying to trick you. Now, if you watch the 49ers play, they have guys going in motion and, you know, moving this way, that way, making the defender think. You watch the Miami Dolphins, obviously I'm not talking about the speed that they have. I'm talking about the scheme where you're making the defense think. You're making the defense move and shift. You might catch them out of one of their gaps on the snap of the ball, which could be a crease for King Henry to get out on that second level and get to those linebackers and DBs who don't want to touch them. So, you know, when you come out and you line up and you might send your ex receiver in long motion, as a linebacker, I'm not really thinking nothing. I'm thinking I'm coming downhill, getting ready to smack Derrick Henry. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? You're not making me think further than Derrick Henry getting the ball off tackle or a sweep play or something of that nature.
Dyson said this about the offense a couple of years ago, and Blaine basically finished his sentence as he was saying it. We were doing a pregame show, and it feels a lot like what you're saying now. It never felt like they were using one thing to set something up.
Right.
Felt like there was no layering.
Right.
And I think a play that Blaine has gone back to several times is they were playing the Bengals in the infamous playoff game, and the guy who picked off Tannehill at the end of the game, there's NFL films where he's like, okay, they're going to run that again, and he's going to throw it right to me. Right. Like he called it before it happened.
And, you know, as a defensive player, that comes from film study, you know. And speaking of that play, you can almost tell that, you know, without even the NFL films audio, that defensive back was ready for that play. And I always say that's what, you know, what baffles me about a veteran quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. If you see the nickel coming, and you know that your situation causes you to throw it over there, why would you not check? You understand what I'm saying? You have Derrick Henry in the backfield. You could easily put him I formation, boom, handoff away from the nickel. I don't know that that's in the playbook or that's even a play, but it kind of sounds like something I've seen before as a player in that situation.
Got to take a break. We'll come back. We can take Dennis's phone call. I want to talk some more defense with K-Bull, too. We kind of went down the offensive road. We'll get into the Titans defense. Dennis, if you will hold, we will talk to Dennis next. If you've got a question, 615-737-1045. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Special guest Keith Bullock hanging out for the Hitman. Dennis in Nashville has been on hold. We just been lost in our discussion here, but let's bring Dennis into it. Dennis, thanks for calling.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What you got for us?
So everybody, listens to talk radio or like sports radio a lot. It's probably been seeing the Pat McAfee show. It, it's getting pretty popular after First Take, and I'm real happy for him. It's going real good. And one of their guests every week is Nick Saban, and I think that's just like super smart. Nick Saban knows what he's doing. Just staying relevant, going on there with recruits and everything. Just letting them see his face every week. I just thought that was, real smart of him. You can really just tell, just the look in his face, like, hey, I'm on here and I'm taking advantage of this. If y'all gonna let me on here every week to talk about football, why not? So I just thought that was real smart of him. It just shows why he's a genius.
There you go, Dennis.
Whether you like him or not. So that's all.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Hey, along that lines, what are you thinking of this UT Alabama game this weekend?
I almost think that the team whose quarterback runs for the most yards will win the game.
That's fair.
Because they're similar, and everybody. I've listened to I don't know how many people break down the game, and it's like, and we've asked. We had an Alabama guy on yesterday. I said, who's a better quarterback, Milton or Milroe? And he's like, gosh, I don't know. Milroe is younger, has more potential, I guess, but he couldn't answer the question. Somebody asked Blaine and me that in the chat like Monday, and we were like, gosh, I don't know. It almost feels like Heath both the defenses are top 20, both of them. The over-under on this game is, I think, 40.5 yesterday. I think it's maybe 48.5. I think it's 49 now. Feels like the first team that could score, 27 points could win this game.
I think to everything you said, if as you visualize it and mentalize it, yeah, they're kind of similar. I just think when it comes to this one that, yeah, Alabama is just going to Alabama because it's like, okay, Alabama's down, still 6-1.
And down.
Yeah.
Down.
And they lost to Texas. Texas is not a bad team. I don't think University of Tennessee is as good as Texas. And I just think this is one that, I'm not saying the Vols can't win. I just think this is one that Alabama is going to Alabama, as they did Arkansas, as they did Ole Miss. Like all these teams, Alabama has been lined up all year to take that shot that kind of like knocks them off the pedestal. But look, they've been able to, withstand these tests, knowing everybody in the SEC knows that Alabama isn't Alabama. So everybody knows we better catch them right now. If they're to be, while they're down, air quotes.
Right. 6-1 down.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is Tennessee's opportunity, but I just don't think that, look, Hendon Hooker was a different beast.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker going to get it done. And, I'm not saying that Joe Milton can't. I just think that, I feel like Coach Saban can kind of lure him into maybe a couple of mistakes, something like that. But it's going to be a great game. I just think Alabama's going to Alabama. I'd like to see UT win for my VFLs out there.
Sure.
But just got to call it what I see.
This game for Alabama kind of gives me a little bit of the same vibes as what South Carolina this year was for Tennessee. Because last year, that South Carolina game for Tennessee kind of knocked Tennessee off balance, and it completely ruined the rest of the season. Well, last year, the Tennessee loss for Alabama, that's what kind of knocked them off balance and knocked them out of the playoff. And I know they could have still made it, but they ended up losing to, believe it was LSU a couple weeks later. But that Tennessee loss really knocked them off balance. And now Tennessee's going back, much like South Carolina came to Knoxville this year. Tennessee's going to Tuscaloosa this year. And it's going to be a really, really rowdy environment, I think. And I think Alabama fans and those players are going to remember what Tennessee did last year, storming the field, tearing down the goalpost. I mean, I was there. It was insane, and I can tell you those Alabama players know exactly what that feeling's like.
And that's another reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, because like if not for anything else, like this is some get back. You know what I'm saying? Like Saban's already saying on the Pat McAfee, we have to have an edge to us versus Tennessee. So that's what he's been talking all week. We have to have an edge because the last team that really had an edge to them versus Tennessee was the University of Florida in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got to say about that.
Tide is 12th in scoring defense. They're 15th in total defense. The Vols are 17th in both, and the Vols are 3rd in sacks per game. And Milroe is is he the most sacked quarterback in college? He's been sacked, how many, 26 times or something crazy?
They're down there. I think they're in like the 130s in terms of sack numbers as a team.
Well, I mean, if you're 130s, that is like 130.
That's not good.
Yeah, that means you're pretty much at the end. This is the craziest stat that I think I've ever heard. When the Vols won the game last week, it was the first time in Josh Heupel's head coaching career he had ever won a game without scoring 30 points. Can you believe that? 6.5 years. It's not like he's been around since Nick Saban.
Nah.
6.5 years as a head coach, he had never won a game that. That's still weird for me to even say, Bully. That's weird for me to even say.
That's great. And
That's
you know what?
great.
Like I say that because I'm thinking about where Tennessee used to be. And how, like, former Vol players, I remember my boy Albert Hainsworth was very outspoken when the Vols weren't good. Mm-hmm. And we talked about a tweet that I put out about my alma mater. Stop putting them on TV. We caught 340 burgers in a row. You don't deserve to be on. Get them off. You know what I'm saying? And then it caught wind up top in the Northeast. But, like, I stand on that. You know, because as a former player, and I remember, the VFLs, the proud VFLs, when Tennessee wasn't playing that well, like they felt some kind of way about it. And now that they're back up and they're playing well, rightfully so. But, I think that where I got a lot of my, I guess, frustration from, because I've watched this Tennessee program, be where it is and be where it is now. Like these Alabama games are big now. You know what I'm saying? And man, I'm just a salty Syracuse fan down here in the Southeast.
The other thing is, it doesn't seem like either one of those teams is built to surmount much of a lead. If the other team gets a lead, neither one of these teams like it's really built to. Tennessee had 100 yards passing last week. They had 38 at halftime. So.
See what I mean? And like it's even in that sense, but Milrose is always he's made a play. He's always made that play.
I've told Milroe, hey man, put on like the cleats that you run best in. In college football, in any element of football now, if a quarterback will run and can run, to me that's just such a backbreaker for the defense.
Hey, but Tennessee's defense helps them out a lot. Tennessee,
my gosh, yes.
They play ball, so. It ain't gonna be that easy, but it's just gonna enjoy watching this one. Let's just.
As a defensive player, you're really gonna enjoy it. All right, Jim and Jared, here's what we'll do. We got to take a break to get to the top of the hour. We'll take your phone calls. We continue to talk football with Keith Bullock, Chelsa Messinger coming up in about 25 minutes. But Jim and Jared coming up to start the second hour. You can join them 615-737-1045. You know what would be awesome is if you were getting the car all packed up to just go start yourself a long weekend at the lake. But here's what you need is a place at the lake to go to. And here is your chance. Saturday, October 28th, first time ever, your chance to experience lake living at a fraction of the price. What are you looking for? 2-acre wooded lot? How about that? From just $64,000. Maybe a lake villa. How about that? They start under $349,900. last remaining Sunset Waterfront lots, $50K off. And this is the lake stuff, not just the peace and the tranquility. They got it all: walking trails and shoreline, clubhouse, waterfront concerts, pickleball pools. It's all there. Your chance to have the lake getaway you've always dreamed of. Maybe you'll just move up there full time. Can't do it if you don't buy, though. It's about 20 minutes from Knoxville. They have financing available. You can call now and secure a private appointment because they don't have that many times. Squeeze in one of those times right now. Limited property release Saturday, October 28th. Go to lakelivingtn.com to get more information or call now. Make an appointment to see this amazing place. 865-408-9992. Invest in something real. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Hour number 2 is here. Chelsa Messinger coming up in about 20 minutes or so. Keith Bullock is sitting in for Blaine today. We've been solving the world's problems, and we said we'd take some phone calls. So let's take some phone calls. Jared in Nashville was kind enough to hold through the break, so we'll take phone calls. We'll continue our discussion. We'll start with Jared, though. Hey, Jared, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man?
You tell
what's
us.
up, KB?
What's up, Jared? How you feeling, man?
Yeah, I met you at show at Lindale House one time. You threw me some tickets at the wheel call.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, yes, sir. Man, I done bought these season passes this year, so I'm in the club section. You know, it's like 12,000. I'm wondering, why didn't the Titans keep Dobbs? I mean, do you guys think Willis is a better quarterback than Dobbs? I mean, he came in a week and played better football than Dobbs had played all year. And then he's down there in Arizona. I mean, he's not a starter, but he looking good out there. So I was just wondering, why didn't the Titans keep Dobbs? Was it a financial thing, or they just didn't think he was good enough?
Jared, appreciate the phone call. Enjoy those club seats, man. That's the good spot.
Ooh, yeah. I passed through all the stadium, and clubs is the best spot.
When the weather gets bad, it's never bad in the club.
Hey, you know what? To just get directly to the point, I just think that you know, it just alleviates the questions of, you know, who goes in next. You know, you said something interesting. You know, give Malik his shots. You know, and see what he can do. And you know, if that's not satisfactory, you got you got Will Levis, and then the band plays on. It really wouldn't have made much sense if you kept Dobbs on the roster, kept Malik on the roster, and then drafted Will Levis. You know, it just seems like a play for the future because Dobbs is he's a veteran quarterback at this point.
Well, if you wonder though, did they think Dobbs was better than him? You answered your own question. Dobbs was here for a week and he started the game.
Yeah. And he's already done he's already won games in Arizona for the Cardinals, played good football out there.
You and I were talking about this in the break, though, because we can look and see what people are calling about. And you said they didn't keep Dobbs because they were going to draft a quarterback. They drafted Will Levis. Like they had the future on their mind.
Right.
Like the long-term future. And as much as everybody who's a Tennessee fan, I didn't go to Tennessee. Dobbs is my favorite all-time Tennessee player.
No doubt.
I loved watching that guy play. I'm a big Josh Dobbs fan, but he's not your long-term future. They wanted their long-term future, and they let Dobbs walk for next to nothing to go to Cleveland. So, Blaine and I have talked about this a whole lot. Keith, really, one of my biggest problems with drafting Willis last year was that's a third-round pick. I mean, you could have drafted a guard or a receiver. Or you could have drafted somebody to plug and play now. We didn't have this on our agenda, but I'll just tell you. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's ankles are all messed up now, or at least one of them is. And Derrick Henry, I don't know what's going to happen this year. I think he's on pace for 1,200 yards based on how they're using him. I think they failed both of those guys. I think they failed them with what they put in front of them because they can't run it or throw it without the right guys in front of them. And I know John Robinson, he drafted Panda, and it didn't work out. And he drafted Radens, and I guess that's not going to work out. And, they drafted NPF, and we don't know if that's going to work out. And they tried, but they failed those guys. And if you needed to win now, Malik Willis felt like a way down the line future pick. He didn't feel like he was going to be your guy immediately, or maybe even a year because the system that he came from and, the level of competition that he played against. I mean, if I was Tannehill, I would have been like, hey, man, what about a receiver? What about somebody put in front of me? Because offensive linemen, you can get a guard later on, and guards on your teams that you played on were mid and late round draft picks. The guards,
for sure.
And they work great. But nobody's getting rid of a great tackle. You have to draft those guys. And typically, you got to draft them high. I just think they failed them. And, I like Spears a lot, and I think Spears could be a great player, but we haven't even seen them, as you were pointing out earlier, they haven't used him in ways yet to even really showcase what he can do or to capitalize on those skills. So when you were talking about this, hey, man, if Tannehill can't go, this is what you were saying, it's time to put Levis out there. I mean, the fear maybe that he gets hurt behind this patchwork offensive line, maybe that's what you don't. I mean, my thing is to everybody down there, this is what you wanted.
Right.
You got what you want. Now Tannehill's hurt again. Put him out there. You got what you wanted. He can play behind the same line you put Tannehill behind.
And I don't understand why the results will be that much better. And, it's evident now that the moves in the past are affecting the roster right now, because you can only go out there with what you're going out there with. And one of the names that you forgot to mention is Traylon Burks. He's yet to be able to stay healthy, and the production that he was expected to. And I don't even know that it was fair to him for people to expect the same level of production. But how can you not? Because you got rid of a talent like A.J. Brown, and you drafted a first. It's like a swap out. So if I'm a fan, it's like, okay, cool. We're going to swap this guy out. I think we shouldn't have did it, but we're going to swap this guy out for A.J., and we're still waiting on our return on top of the other players that you spoke about, and then other players that were drafted high that you weren't able to use,
Caleb Farley.
Yeah, so these are, players, and these are draft picks that you expect to be able to fulfill those missing links. And being a former first-round draft pick, I definitely understand the expectation of you from your teammates. I remember being a first-round draft pick in Blaine and Marcus Robinson and all the guys on defense, looking, it's almost like you're a new car, looking to see what you got.
Right. How fast you go.
What's it got? Oh,
right.
Okay, what's the first-rounder got? Mm-hmm. I was the same way when Chris Johnson came in. Vince Young was Vince Young. You already, you know what I mean? And then
if you had a TV set, you knew everything about it. Yeah.
And then, we had some first-rounders that may have been a little more lackluster, and didn't – pan out to be, but at the same time, were able to play and fulfill a role expected of them as a first round or second, third round draft pick. So you started this with, as a third round draft pick, you're someone that obviously probably slipped in the draft at quarterback. And probably they assumed you could have played or been picked higher, and they got you at a steal in third round, and let's go. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's been a steal in the third round 2 years ago.
Not so far. Not so far at all. Let's get through a couple more of these phone calls. We got Bully here. We got a couple more minutes. Ryan in Lebanon. What's going on, man? Say it to Keith Bullock.
Mr. Monday Night, what's up, man?
What's up, Ryan? How's it going today, man?
Doing good, man. Hey, I got a quick question for you. I talked a little bit earlier with Lucas in the earlier show, but I've seen that Derrick Henry is best fit for a fullback in front of him when running the football. So I just want to get your take versus as far as defense, is it easier to cover a fullback or is it easier to cover a tight end that's in the fullback position? I just want to get your take on that, man, because like I said, with Derrick with a fullback, that's hard to stop right there in my personal opinion. But I want to get your take on that, man, and have a blessed day and tighten up.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, look, anytime a running back has an extra blocker, especially a lead blocker, is beneficial. I will say, though, it depends on what you're running. If you have a tight end in a fullback position, saying the I formation, and let's just say you're running standard dive power, where he has the lead downhill on a linebacker, I think the better matchup for the offense is to have a true fullback, because that tight end isn't necessarily used to coming straight downhill and fitting up on a linebacker. I usually used to enjoy, well, they didn't really do that too often because it's not a good matchup. Usually they're going to put a true fullback in if they're going to come right downhill. I think where that works best when you use a tight end or an H-back is when you kind of move them in motion and maybe they do that little toss pitch to Derrick, or you're trying to get them out on the edge. You got to move the linebacker so they're not just coming straight downhill on, one way. They're just going to make a big collision and pile in the backfield, and there's not going to be much running room.
Well, one of the things Mark Mariani has talked about is all the tight splits that they run. You don't even put distress on the defense to move people out of the box because of all the tight splits that they run.
Yeah, and that's another thing. With tight splits, it's easier, in my opinion, to to penetrate and hold your gap, I should say. I shouldn't say necessarily penetrate, but it's easier for a defense to get in their gaps because, like I say, you're not moving anyone with motion. You're just lining up and blue 28, set. Like, you know what I mean? The defense isn't thinking. Only thing they're thinking about is the play that they've been coached to play out of this formation.
Right.
So, yeah.
Let's get I think we have another Dobbs call. It's Dobbs Day on Blaine and Mickey. What's up, Jeff? Thanks for calling.
Hey, guys.
How's it going, Jeff?
I was going to say, guys, what's up, Mr. Bully? Keith Bullock. I just wanted to say, what was he talking about? I lost my train of thought. What were y'all talking about?
Dobbs, Titans. Your call memo says Dobbs. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the Dobbs situation. Like, I understand. Okay, yeah, he wasn't the future, but if y'all would have held on to him, through training camp and stuff, Titans would have got an extra round pick, an extra draft capital from the Cardinals because the Cardinals got him from the Browns, and I just understand why we wouldn't have just held on to him because there wasn't nothing bad about holding on to him for that off season.
Well, I think if you hold on to him, you take away the reps from Malik and Will Levis.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you want to see out of these two young guys who's really going to be, heir apparent and or obviously in this year the backup. So it was unfortunate that Levis sustained an injury and wasn't able to get out there, so for them to assess him more and see more. But I definitely know that if you keep 4 quarterbacks instead of 3, you're going to have a situation where if Dobbs looked better than Tannehill, Dobbs should be the starter, and or, if these younger 2 guys don't get any reps in the preseason, what was the point of drafting them? So I think that was really the main reason. Like, Dobbs, you did a great job for us those 2-3 weeks towards the end of the year, but, give him the opportunity to have the best chance of getting on a roster this year.
There you go, breaking it down with Keith Bullock. All right, let's break some stuff down with Chelsa Messinger next, host of the Daily Tip. Let's find out what in the world she is betting on this week, all across sports. Maybe even I'll ask her about some NBA futures as well. But first, Joseph has some tickets he wants to give away. These are from Keith's personal collection, Nashville Predators 23-24 ticket giveaway, and here it is. The Nashville Predators 25th anniversary season is here. We've got tickets for you to see the Preds in action. All you got to do, be caller 5 now, and you can get 2 tickets to see the Preds take on the San Jose Sharks. You know you want them to beat those old Sharks. It's Saturday in Smashville, 615-737-1045. Caller 5, 2 tickets to see the Preds and the Sharks. Don't miss the next Nashville Predators home game. You can be there, too, even if you don't win the tickets. Saturday, October 21st, San Jose Sharks at 7 o'clock at Bridgestone Arena. Join in the fun. Help celebrate the 25th anniversary season and 25 years of Smashville. Tickets are available all the time at NashvillePredators.com/tickets.
There are a lot of diagnoses out there, and there's a pill for everything. But not all diagnoses are accurate, and not all pills are good for you. Well, hey, this is Blaine Bishop. And when you get a diagnosis for European Auto Repair, get a second opinion before you make a major, and I mean major, decision. Eurofix is the home for second opinions. And before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis, go to Eurofix. It could not only save your vehicle's life, but it could actually save you from a lot of stress that ruins your weekend. So life's too short to get stressed out and angry over nothing. So be happy and go to Eurofix. And at Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, not high-pressure sales tactics. And at Eurofix, you also get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And at Eurofix, you never pay dealer without the dealer pricing, right? Of course. Located in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. All you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. I was telling Blaine, did you?
Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. We got ticket winners. If you're trying to call for the tickets, we'll ease your mind. The tickets have been, as my son used to say, gived away. Let's give these next few minutes to our friend Chelsa Messinger, who joins us. Now, Chelsa is a Gallatin native. Did a young Chelsa Messinger ever go and watch Mr. Monday Night Keith Bullock in action? Because he's filling in for Blaine today, Chelsa. Say hello to Mr. Monday Night Keith Bullock.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon. Number 53, I believe, if my visual memory serves me correctly. Was that his number?
That is correct. Winner,
Got
chicken
it.
dinner.
Yeah. Somebody get me some free chicken or a free
I could
cookie
get
or
you some
something.
free coffee. I could do that for you.
He's in the coffee biz now. Did you know that? Just Love.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
could
Ooh,
hook
well, I
that up.
wake up at 3:30 in the morning, so it sounds like a business I should be into.
I'll figure out how to get you some bags. I'll hook you up.
Yeah, we'll get you kids together. We can do that. I saw a very frustrated tweet on your part from last night. Did baseball wear you out last night? Something happened? What'd you say? You lost them all by the fifth? No, you lost all your bets in the fifth inning. Is that what happened?
I lost one bet on
Okay.
the first 5 innings in the bottom of the 5th inning with 2 outs and 2 strikes. So all I needed was one more strike for a first 5 under. And of course, he gives up a 2-run bomb. But baseball plays have been really hot for me. So I hadn't felt the sting of defeat in a while. And let me tell you, I can confirm it does suck.
Chelsa Messenger, I guess I saw on the Daily Tip. I'm trying to keep things up. I'm trying to stay in the know. You got a couple of baseball bets you like tonight, correct?
Oh, I get to talk baseball today. I
Yes,
love it.
yes.
Yeah.
Phillies money line, right? I'm paying attention.
Couple plays. I think the best game to bet on today is going to be the Phillies. Taking the Phillies at a short price tonight, only -130, -135, a very solid price on a team that looks the most confident of any team in the postseason so far. I don't feel like the Phillies are going to turn back into a pumpkin just because they're going on the road here. Also, they get to face a rookie in Brandon Pfaadt, who has been very up and down this year. Even in the postseason, gave up 4 runs to the Dodgers earlier this postseason. Also, I like Ranger Suarez, starting pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, over his outs prop. You can bet on outs, which means you can bet on how long a pitcher is going to pitch in a game. And I think it's a great situational spot here because Philadelphia doesn't have a ton of urgency for their starting pitcher tonight. They've got a 2-0 series lead. It's a 7-game series. And also, they have a stretch of 3 games in a row. They need to save some of their bullpen arms for the next game. They're going with a bullpen game in game 4. So they said this even in a quote after the game. They said, hey, we need some length from Ranger Suarez today. That means I'm going to be betting the over on his outs prop. But if he's getting shelled, obviously he's not going to stay in the game. But he has been fantastic in the postseason. Already this postseason, 8 2/3 innings of 1-run ball against a potent Braves lineup, or they were potent during the regular season. And in his career, Ranger Suarez, a sparkling 3-0 with a 1.16 ERA. So I will trust Ranger Suarez to get to 5 innings today, over 14.5 outs for -105.
This MLB postseason, it started off pretty crazy. So who would be the biggest winner, would you say, to this point? The fans of which team?
Oh, it has to be the Phillies because once again, it's a team that started off pretty slow. During the middle of the season, they were not a contender in the NL East. They didn't even win their division. I'm sure Braves fans can attest. Everybody thought the Braves were going to be standing
Hitting
there.
below the belt here.
Well, I know we're in Braves country,
Yes.
and I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, my
but
God.
The
They
Phillies,
Yes.
are we ever?
the Phillies are a team built for the postseason, though. I don't think there's any shame in losing to the Phillies. They played in the World Series last year. I know they were underdogs in that series, in the series before this one, but still, they have some of the best hitters in all of baseball. They're battle-tested in the postseason. Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, all of these guys have great track records in the postseason. So it feels like the Phillies, especially for a team that made it to the World Series last year, and especially for an Eagles fan base that went to the Super Bowl last year. So it feels like this is the year that maybe the Phillies get it done because Philly has been so close just last year to winning in both sports.
What about, let's keep it in Philly. What about the Eagles? They got a tough game this weekend. Is it smart to go against Tua or go against Hurts?
Yeah, it feels like an Eagles team that really hasn't put it all together this year. I don't want to overact too much to a loss over against the Jets last week because the Jets do have a really great defense. This will be a much different matchup because the Dolphins come to the table with a much better offense. I think this is a great spot for a teaser because the normal line in this game is 2.5. The Dolphins are getting 2.5 points. Don't know if you know what a teaser is, but you pick two teams, you add 6 points, and you combine them in a little parlay. So with the Dolphins, you would bump it up to 8.5. The Dolphins now getting 8.5 points. And then you add the other team that I feel like is one of the best teams in the NFL that maybe isn't getting enough credit here. The Lions getting 3 points on the road at the Ravens. So you get the Lions at +9, and you get the Dolphins at +8.5. I think that's a pretty good teaser.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to do that one. That's my.
He's making notes over
hey,
here.
that's my parlay for the. That's my parlay. How about that, Slay? Got me a parlay. Dolphins, Lions for the win.
We are on with noted Keith Bullock fan, Chelsa Messinger, host of the Daily Tip. So let's stay with football. Thursday night football tonight. Jags and Saints. I've seen conflicting reports, but it looks like things are getting better for Trevor Lawrence, much to the chagrin of Titans fans. How do you like tonight?
Yeah, I feel like when there is a big question mark in the lineup, usually you should stay away from, a side or a total. So I'm going to look at the other side for the Saints and just play a prop play. I think it's going to be an Alvin Kamara type game when it comes to the receiving game. We know he has good hands, and the matchups are really good here because the Jags come in giving up the third most receptions to opposing running backs. This is usually a solid play against teams that have pretty good defensive lines and who can put some pressure on the quarterback. So they do those little short dumpy passes to the running back. And also, Alvin Kamara has been getting targets like a receiver. He had 8 targets in the receiving game last game and 14 targets against the Bucs, a wildly high number for receivers. So I'm going to take Alvin Kamara's receiving prop over 30.5 receiving yards for -115, especially on a short week. I like that one.
I know we always ask you about other games within the AFC South. So Colts and Browns, that Browns defense has just been smothering people. Can it smother the great Gardner Minshew this week?
Man, the Colts did me dirty last week. I like the Colts getting points, and of course, Gardner Minshew turns back into a pumpkin. I think I like the under in that one. If you expect the Browns defense to come to play once again, which they have been, like Jim Schwartz's defense is no joke, I think you just take the under 41 there. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the Browns offense still.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way to play it. If you can put some pressure on the Colts and Gardner Minshew, you can keep this game close. And the Browns have been pretty solid to the under so far this season. It's still above 40, so I'll take the under 41.
I got one more that looks a little suspect. The Bills Patriots with Buffalo 8.5 minus.
Yeah, it's a steep.
Because that's like a
number.
division. That's like big for NFL, and it's divisional game.
You're right, but have you seen the Patriots play this year?
I definitely
I
have.
totally get your point because to that same point, that's why I was on the Colts last week.
Okay.
I thought they could keep it close because you're right. Divisional matchups always play closer, but it's just this Patriots offense is one of the worst in the NFL. I'm not even being dramatic. So I feel like that's the case. And the Bills usually, against the worst teams, I think they are a team that can turn it on. So it feels like a good spot for the Bills. Might throw them in the teaser too, because that's a good number to get a teaser at. At -8.5, when you get 6 points, you get it down to -2.5. And the key goal in teasers is to go through as many key numbers as possible. So you go through 7, you go through 6, and you go through 3. Get the Bills down to 2.5. I think that's the best spot for it. But also, I would take the Bills just straight up -8.5. I like that quite a bit as well.
And they're coming off of a bye with the lackluster performance in London. So
Yes.
I'm liking. I'm feeling that.
I feel like we're learning a lot here today. All right, let's switch to some college games. Tennessee, Alabama. That's what's got everybody's attention right here. I would think the under might be one of the more sure bets, but talk me off the ledge on that.
Yeah, I like the under as well. I like the under last week for Tennessee, and I like it for them again. We continue to see somewhat inflated totals for a Tennessee team that I feel like people aren't realizing. This is a much different offense. I think Tennessee fans can probably tell you that. But Tennessee top 15 in most defensive metrics. And I think they can really put some pressure on Alabama here. Alabama, on the other end, is in a similar boat where they just don't have the explosive passes that maybe they've had in years past. Jalen Miller is still really good, and he can get the ball down the field maybe a little bit better than Joe Milton. But still, it feels like a lower scoring game. Plus, it's a rivalry game. It feels like rivalry games play a little bit closer to the vest. I would take the points probably, but I think the under is the better play just because if points are at a premium and you do expect a lower scoring game, you should probably take the 8.5. But I do think the under is the best play here.
Penn State, Ohio State, I mean, there's still a bunch of undefeated teams in college football. One of these teams is about to not be undefeated. How do you play this one?
This feels like a trendy dog this week. I have not heard a single person be on Ohio State, and that makes me a little worried. But it does feel like the year for Penn State. They finally got their great quarterback in Drew Aller, who they haven't completely unleashed yet. I know the controversy up there is they're not letting him throw the ball down the field, but still a really good offense. One of the best offensive tackles, I think, in all of college football that came back this year because he wanted to play with Drew Aller. Running back room is great, and Ohio State has been far from dominant. We haven't seen a ton from McCord over there to really live up to his potential. So I think if this is the year that Penn State beats Ohio State, like this is probably the year. This is the best position they will ever be to beat Ohio State. Granted, it is at Ohio State. So that makes me a little worried. But 65% of the money right now sitting on Penn State, but yet this number continues to climb up. Opened at, or it was 4.5 yesterday. Now it's 5.5. So that makes me worry a little bit. When there's line movement that doesn't match the percentages of the money, it does feel like a public dog, but I still take Penn State here.
Does Duke have anything for Florida State?
Is Riley Leonard back? I think that's the question I need to ask. I have not looked at that game.
Okay. Only Keith Bullock knows if Riley Leonard is back, and I don't know if he's talking. So
yeah, no, I'm thinking the one I'm looking at is Utah USC, just because you know that's one of those
regional rivals.
Yeah, you know
the fighting Kevin Dyson's out there.
Oh yeah, this is a big matchup in a rivalry spot because I believe Utah has had USC's number over the past couple of years. It does feel like another public dog play where a lot of people are going to say, hey, it's Utah getting 7 here against USC. But sometimes in betting, it feels like almost there are situational spots where you try not to overreact to what you saw in 1 week. Because over the course of his college career, Caleb Williams has been great. Yes, he had one bad game on the road at Notre Dame and also some bad weather there. So I don't think this is the spot where I'm going to fade USC, especially at home, and especially since Utah, I don't think can match the offensive output of USC. So I think it's going to be the trendy play to take Utah, but I'll lean towards USC here.
All right, on the way out, one more NBA season right around the corner. Any long-term futures or any NBA futures that you like before we get the season started to get those on record for everybody?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I've watched a little preseason NBA.
Yeah.
What about OKC? I'm liking OKC right now.
Man, they're good. I think they're a team to take on the spread. They have so many young guys that are really exciting to watch. Chet Holmgren, I believe, is back.
I saw his lanky butt the other night.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's a team that you just take individually. But I think the East is very fascinating this year. Of course, Dame Dalla going to Milwaukee. Maybe you just take them to win the East as opposed to winning it all, because I still think Denver should be the favorites. The Nuggets didn't really lose too much, and they still have the best player in the NBA in Nikola Jokic, who not only is very good, but also is usually available. He is one of the most durable players in the entire NBA. So I will still say that Denver deserves to be the favorites, even though Damian Lillard is fascinating going to Milwaukee and joining Giannis.
I don't know. I'm going to lean a little bit up northeast and K-Bulls, almost section of the woods, but Celtics?
I can't. I gotta go Milwaukee over the Celtics. But
Okay.
I'm like I say, OKC is my sleeper this year, man.
There you go. Your sleeper team from Keith Bullock as he is helping us finish up with Chelsa. All right, Chelsa, let people know, of course, at Chelsa not Chelsea, but Chelsa Messenger on Twitter. Let people know where they can get up early and consume the Daily Tip, or if they sleep in, they can just watch it later or listen.
Yeah, if you just want to download the podcast, you can. Just search the Daily Tip wherever you get your podcast, or just search BetMGM. It's usually one of the first podcasts that pop up. And as always, most of my plays are posted daily at Chelsa Messenger on Twitter.
They are, and I read them all. Chelsa, thank you, as always, for the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Always great catching up with Chelsa. All right, here's what we'll do. When we come back, there's a play in the NFL that has become very controversial. One team can really run this play. Others don't seem to able to execute it to the same level. But I want to ask a long time and very good NFL defensive player his thoughts on the Tush push next.
Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and I'm excited to tell you about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, as you may know them as TOA. And TOA has 29 locations and over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. In addition to their orthopedic clinics and urgent care facilities, TOA offers physical therapy, hand therapy, and sports performance training for teams and individuals at their sports performance centers. And as a former professional athlete, I know how important access to expert orthopedic care is. Whether you're an athlete, active adult, or just looking to get back to living your best life, you can visit TOA online at TOA.com, or you can give them a call at 1-855-NEED-TOA. That's 1-855-NEED-TOA.
104.5 is on. One more segment with Keith Bullock hanging out here. For the Hitman today. So I got to ask you. For some reason, I can barely hear myself. I don't know what's going on. My stuff came undone here.
I don't hear.
You can't hear me either?
I got you now.
Okay. My headphones. Oh, there I am. Hey, hello. People think this is weird because you're just sitting here talking, but if you don't hear yourself in your own ears,
Yeah.
it completely freaks you out. I'm
That's
like,
why I just.
my voice isn't working anymore. I'm just saying words that no one hears. The tush push play.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? There have been whole diatribes. I saw Rich Eisen spent 30 minutes of his show one day saying it should be outlawed, and what?
I don't know why it should be outlawed. I don't know why it can't be stopped. You know, one thing I do know, and when Tom Brady was with the New England Patriots on 4th and 1, you always knew that they were going to quarterback sneak.
Right.
And they never took it out of their playbook, and they always quarterback sneak, and they would always get it. And I remember we stopped it a couple times because we got up in there and we knew they were going to quarterback sneak. But even to when the Vrabel teams were playing against Tom Brady and the Patriots, I know they're going to quarterback sneak because it's a part of what they do. So I don't know. That's a leverage thing because it's almost like a scrum. You know, it's a leverage thing, and I'm sure once you stop it, they're ready to run the variation play where they pitch it outside on you. So
I'm waiting for what the
one.
setup is on that, yes.
But they haven't stopped it yet, so why change it?
Well, I don't know why. I believe it was Eisen. Again, he spent a long time talking about this, and it's like, why don't you like it? He essentially said, I don't know, because it's ugly. Well, football's ugly sometimes, you know?
It's like a stupid answer. That's just like Rich Eisen is just too talented to give such a lazy answer.
But he couldn't think of a reason. And the other people who've opposed it, it's been the same
reason.
thing. Yeah, they just don't like it. But my thing is, if you are within the rules of the game and you figure out something, and other teams have tried to run it and gotten people hurt and it's not worked.
Yeah, they perfected it.
They have perfected it. I mean, to me, that is playing winning football. If it is legal, dude, and you can do it, do it.
It's like, stop it. Like, you know, they say, all Shaq can do is dunk. Well, you stop it. Jealous punks can't stop my dunks.
Right. Make him shoot free throws. We saw what that did. Hey, Philly Mike is on. You ever met Philly Mike before?
I have not.
Well, let's bring in Philly Mike. Philly, he wants to talk about the tush push. Philly Mike, of course. Say hey to Keith Bullock, Philly Mike.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, Keith, I've met you before, man, over at Just Love, man. You guys do a great job over there. I'm the real tall brother, man, as in sales, man.
I appreciate
All right.
you. Oh, Mike, I know exactly what you're talking about, Mike. Appreciate the little drinks you brought in.
There you go. Fantastic, man. But, hey, you guys do a great job. Mickey, it's always good talking to you too, man. But just like I said before, man, I'm a big Eagles fan, but I do cheer for the Titans since I live down here now. But, hey, that's a play that I think Jordan Mailata probably instituted since he was a former rugby player. And, you know, all that is just taking – you know, a bunch of guys and just moving the pile. And just like you said, you have to stop it if you want to do something about it. And you remember when Jabbar, actually Lou Alcindor, when they took away the dunk in college, he developed, it was the worst thing that probably could have happened to other players because he developed that sky hook, which is the most unstoppable shot in the history of basketball. So Jabbar said, hey, you don't want me to dunk? I'm going to go back, work on my craft, and come up with a shot, and that's what he was able to do. And Kareem was a good example of when some rules change, he can go and do something else. So I think that other teams will try it. Dallas tried it, but it didn't work too well the other night. But it's just a play that is used to get that first down and keep drives going. So that's all I got to say. And I think the defense loves it because it gives those guys an extra 3 or 4 minutes of rest.
Well, thank you, Philly Mike.
The Philly football scrum. It's you know, the scrum comes from rugby, and if he just says that the coach that works, that sounds like a great explanation to me. Like I said, I've never had the experience to go against it, so I wouldn't know what goes into because it's as simple to me as you just get leverage wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they keep getting dug out.
What was the play that you most hated to see in your day? Something that somebody ran, if it was a specific team with one play with one guy, or was it a specific formation that a bunch of teams ran? What did you just hate to see the most?
Jacksonville I couldn't really figure out, and good thing it never really broke on us, but I really couldn't figure out. They had this trap, and it was running play, a trap, and you had to hit it a certain way. Good thing, Albert and those guys usually messed it up, so I didn't have to really deal with it. But I couldn't figure it out. I just knew that if I didn't hit the right gap, that Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew was going to hit their head on the goalpost. So, yeah, that's, it's usually when you're not gapped up, that's a play that I always hate. But for the most part, I would tend to be on point. But we always had guys that could make those plays too, so it was fun.
Is it frustrating for you? We got a couple of minutes left with Keith Bullock. You mentioned being gapped up. Mike Vrabel basically admitted, not against the Ravens, but against the Colts when they gave up 190-plus rush yards. Yeah, guys are playing peekaboo in their gaps.
That's the worst. I hate that.
Okay.
Like, as a linebacker, what that means is, the defensive line, they're putting their helmet in one gap, and then – the running back is going somewhere else. He's moving out of the other gap because when I first started playing with Albert, he would play peekaboo. He'd go one way, and then he'd try to make a play and go the other way. And the way I just played with my defensive lineman, anyone in front of me, was I told them, whatever your first move is, just go, and I'll play off of you. Because for me, that's easier. And it's supposed to be, you have A gap, I have B gap. But we're not out here to play like robots. We're out here to make plays and get the job done. So on my side, I don't know what DT, David Thornton, and Tully and all them are doing. On my side, you pick the gap, you go in, and you stay in it. So that's how I eliminated peekaboo players on my side, because the defensive linemen, they just want to go. So if you're supposed to go to that A gap and you could feel him, you could feel the combo block, and there's something that, if you go to the B gap, it's fine. I don't need to know what you're doing because on the snap of the ball, I'm reacting off of you anyway. So, yeah, peekaboo is very, very tough. It's hard on the defense as a whole because you're effective. If the lineman jumps the gap, then the linebacker jumps the gap, and then the safety jumps the gap, and then you have 190 yards rushing against you.
Dude, we've already jumped our whole gap. Man, 2 hours. 2 hours is over with.
Too quick, man. Too quick. I appreciate you letting me come ride with you today.
You kidding me? This has been a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again sometime. We'll send Keith Bullock back to the coffee shop. We'll finish up tomorrow. Mark Mariani will be back on as the Hitman finishes up his days off. But in the meantime, and in between time, peace.